Welcome to another episode of Blockchain Basement, the best daily streaming show on Twitch. If you want to join us live, go to twitch.tv/bitboy_crypto. Got a really good show for you guys today. We have an exclusive, extra special guest joining us today. As always, we've got Dr. Druth over here, but who do we got sitting over here? Who's this guy? Fresh out of the hood. Top G on the couch. We've got the beautiful Allie joining us here today. Biscuit Jesus on the board, just like usual. And as always, you guys in the chat, Razmataz, dude, what's my name? Oogman, Pluto, Nikado, Crypto Submethod, Eastgate everywhere, Manawak, Covert, Big Hands Dan, IB Mike King, Ralphie, Carnivore, Johannes, Crypto Tony. Man, we got a lot of uniques in here today. Yeah. Crimson Caravan Company.
Hard Hitting.
First time chat from Hard Hitting says DZ. Mr. Techno Goody. Is that Tate? Yeah, we're gonna have some serious alpha coming in here today. Actually, if you guys didn't know this, Andrew Tate is definitely a Bitcoiner. He used to run a different Twitter account. In his old Twitter account, you'd see a lot of, he bought a lot heavy in the bottom of the last cycle, even had beef with Gainsey at one point. So, he's definitely one of us in that regard. So,
yes.
Say what you want. A lot of differences of opinions out there, but yeah, he's definitely into crypto. So, Bud Lightyear says, DZ, you handsome SOB. And everybody's liking it. Everybody's feeling it. You going to say anything, DZ?
Thank you very much for the support, and thank you for having me on the show today, TJ. I'm going to try to bring unmatched perspicacity and a lot of wisdom to the people because I feel like this nation needs it.
Yeah, there you go.
I like how he's even got.
I was gonna say you got the triangle going.
The power hands.
Power hands, Illuminati signal. Maybe they would say. Who knows? So should I call you DZ or should I call you something else?
You can call me Big D.
Big D, I like it. Big D, top D in the building. Big D, I love it. Real quick, we're gonna hit some prices back above 23K. Got a good pump here last night after the show, and shout out to Chemistry Bro. He mentioned Aptos. We pulled up the chart here. He was saying, Frank pulled it up, did some quick TA, textbook long there, and then boom, huge pump on that. So looking real quick at the 24-hour. I was telling everybody on the morning stream, I'm a little annoyed with Phantom here. I wanted it to pull back. I want to start building a position there for the next bull run, and I haven't pulled the trigger yet. Definitely not doing it on a 25% pump, 70% for the week. So maybe if Bitcoin would just chill for a minute and let some of these alts move back down, I could buy them, but I'm not going to let my emotions take over. I know we're going to have time. We're going to talk a little bit about that, about how this cycle is shaping up more and more and more to look like the 2019 cycle and what happened in there. We were talking about, Frank and I were talking a little bit this morning about, wanting it to break through these levels and then it just bounces off of and bounces off. It's like, yeah, I remember, everybody wanted it to go to 10K. We kept getting above 9,000 and everybody would post. I think it's BJ, you probably correct me on this. Probably is it the Vegeta meme? It's not Goku, right? It's over 9,000. Everybody was posting that. And then,
did you mispronounce fajita?
Vegeta.
Oh,
Vagina.
I don't know.
Vagina. Okay.
Yeah,
yeah, we're getting into some dicey territory here, but, yeah, so that kept happening. We were really between 7 and 10 so long in the last cycle. Really between 7 and 9 and change. It took us such a long time to break 10, but then once we did, had a nice run up all the way to about 14 before falling back into that range. A lot of people predicting something similar here in this cycle in 2023, where we probably stay between 20 and 28. Maybe if we can break above that 28 number, make a push into the mid 30s before falling back down into that range. DZ's been hanging with Eminem. Yeah, everybody's loving it. Everybody's loving it.
You have a smart chat. Yeah. Very intelligent people here.
We
I love seeing it.
Yeah, cool. All right, so real quick, first story of the day: Bitcoin hash rate taps new milestone with miner holding at a 1-year low. You guys know we talk about the hash rate here a lot and how the price of creating a Bitcoin, just like a lot of things, it sets the floor for the value or the true value, in my opinion. And we'll go through these boomer bust cycles: oversold, undersold. I think we were undersold, as I was saying when the show first started. When did we first start doing the show? I can't remember. We've done it for a few months now, but at the beginning in those first few episodes, we were really looking at the cost to mine Bitcoin and why we thought the price didn't necessarily reflect the true value. And yet again, here we are, hash rate passing 300 EHS threshold. Another example of Bitcoin's blitz recovery from the pits of the post-FTX woes. Network hashing power is bigger than ever, and this is a really good sign here. The strength of the network in my opinion, the higher the hash rate, the higher the value of Bitcoin, because the more it costs. As electricity costs continues to go up, obviously that sets the value even higher, and it makes it very, very strong for, you know, the price of Bitcoin going forward. I'm going to ask you, Drew, here. Do you subscribe to this method when it comes to the value, or do you look at hash rate at all, or what's your take on cost of mining Bitcoin?
Yeah, I mean, the cost of mining and the electricity is kind of more so my focus. I mean, obviously the hash rate plays into the network security, but energy costs are something that I'm watching. I do see that energy costs are going to creep back up in a pretty short term. That's just in my opinion. I think we're going to see gasoline and diesel, but then natural gas is obviously doing what it's doing. So I think that electricity is going to continue to rise in cost. You have a dwindling workforce, you have supply constraints, you have raw material constraints out of BASF in Germany, which produces 40,000 raw chemicals that are the baseline for production in general. So I think you can expect an increase in that.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Top D, mining hash rate. Is that something you consider? Are you shaking your head at Drew's response, or are you shaking your head at the chat?
Useless metric. As we increase computing power, the hash rate is going to go up. Even if we reduce 10% of the computers making this hash network secure, you can reduce 10% year over year. But if computing power increases 11% year over year, you're going to see a hash rate go up, even though you're seeing less participants in the network. You have to be a little bit careful with the energy thing, because on a long enough time scale, energy costs are going to go close to net zero. And so as energy lessens, is going to put a thorn into this narrative that high energy costs, high amount of money it takes to create one Bitcoin, it might start going down as energy goes lower. And so that's going to be an interesting paradigm to see in the future.
And you don't think the Bitcoin price would react to that?
I think it will. And it's going to be, then we're going to have to do the math of what does it cost to get these ever increasingly more expensive Bitcoin mining equipment pieces. And then you're going to have to couple that against the lessening cost of electricity. And so it's hard to make a prediction what is going to move more quickly. Cost of electricity goes down more, or the cost of this Bitcoin mining equipment goes up more. And so it's going to be a dance as they each go in different directions.
Yeah, but you still... Okay, so with that, so you're just saying be careful with the cost of taking the cost of energy in, but you still kind of subscribe to the cost of creating a Bitcoin. That might change, but the cost of creating a Bitcoin does affect the value of where the floor is of Bitcoin, or no?
Yeah, it definitely dictates in the short term. I was more saying just be careful with the narrative that the hash rate is ever increasing. That's just going to be a byproduct of the computing equipment becoming stronger.
Yes, yeah. The computing power on the network is what drives the hash rate. According to data from BTC.com, the next automated readjustment, and if you guys haven't heard of the difficulty adjustment, this can adjust up, as DZ was referencing, the more computing power, the more difficulty adjusts upwards. When people are turning their miners off, we obviously saw the difficulty adjust downwards. It can go in both directions, but it's been going, the hash rate's been going up, and we're set for another difficulty readjustment, estimate another 2.75% higher. The previous readjustment delivered a 10% increase, and Bitcoin's largest spike since October 22, only the second double digit since mid 2021. So again, when we see this difficulty tick up, obviously that means the cost ticks up, because it does take more computing power. You do have to get more equipment, and the energy cost is going to fluctuate over time. But I think we will see an immediate reaction here as more and more computing power is getting put in, as more and more people are investing in creating Bitcoin. It's gonna start to build that. What's the word I'm looking for? Build the hype and build the demand. Yeah. And then what starts to happen next? Boom, the next halving comes, and you instantly, the cost of creating a Bitcoin doubles because the amount of Bitcoin you're getting as reward halves. And that's really what drives the price upward, which is why the halving has such a dramatic impact on the price. It's supply and demand economics. It's been around since the beginning of time. And so that all of that tied together is what drives the price of Bitcoin up, in my opinion. So it's something to keep an eye on. And it's fascinating how all of this stuff macroeconomically, the price of energy, the price of computing, all is kind of intertwined within these 4-year cycles. And then every time we see that halving, it kind of like TA and the macroeconomics, it's amazing how the TA tends to play out. It's very fascinating how the halving cycles seem to be right in time with everything that's going on in the entire globe, even though it's a predicted schedule that's been doing the same thing since 2008, 2009. So hash rate, something to keep an eye on when it comes to robustness. Another way to say that is security on the network. The higher the hash rate, the more secure the network is because the more computing power is going into securing all of these blocks. So let's see.
Erkelson asked, with different adjustment going up, average cost to mine per Bitcoin around 19,000. Now, will we hit that CME gap?
Interesting. Somebody was talking about that CME gap on the stream this morning. It kind of half filled. If you go back and look, we did pull it up here on the stream. It did wick down into that gap. I don't know if it hit exactly 19.5, but it definitely wicked below here recently. We've got Pop E22. That is I think that's the old Twitter account I was talking about. That the old Tate account.
But also with difficulty going up, and you say that that's going to help secure the network. What in a hypothetical world where there's only 3 computers that are capable of having enough hashing power? I know I'm being extreme here, but wouldn't that make it less secure and super centralized?
No, because yes, it'd make it more centralized, but it wouldn't make it less secure.
How? Why?
Because the other
Just
computers
because, like,
wouldn't
how
be
hard it
able
is?
to compete.
Yeah, it's just how much hash rate you would have to commit to attack the network, basically.
Copy. That
Yeah.
makes
So the
total
higher
sense.
the hash rate is, the higher you'd have to you'd have to gather up something that can compete with that. Which the higher that gets, the more impossible it becomes. It's already fairly impossible. The cost is astronomical compared to the reward. And to your point, the computers don't really even exist to do it. But the more the hash rate goes up, the more robust. And the idea is we're trying to get more and more decentralized. Basically, more miners all around the world that are incentivized to continue keeping the hash rate up. I would say the hash rate is probably one of the few, trying to get all, the mining pools to work together is probably one of the few attack vectors on Bitcoin right now, which is why I was saying the other day, the easiest way to attack decentralization is from the inside out. That's why maximalists defend it so fervently, as they understand this concept. But I think it's pretty much, I won't say it's impossible, but I do think it's past a critical mass network effect of where the cost, the risk and the cost far, far, far outweighs the reward. We've talked about it before. Like if you were able to gather that much computing power and hash rate, and you were going to be able to hack something, you could literally hack anything else on the planet, any network that exists, nuclear codes, all sorts of different things that have a much higher incentive payoff. So,
do you think we end up in eventually that the computers necessary for the hashing power can only be owned by nation states, and that this then becomes eventually a battle between sovereign nations because they each own individual machines that are capable of doing this? Like the consumer and everybody else is just gone. This is the 0.0001% of people who can actually control any hashing power.
Yeah.
I know, again, I'm being extreme here.
Yeah, I know. I do think it will trend that way. I mean, if you look at gold, right, it's a pretty similar example. The cost of getting gold out of the ground is getting astronomical higher the more that it's been being.
You can't panhandle it anymore.
Exactly. And who has most of the gold? Nations. And then they kind of rehypothecate based on that. That's how we got into the fiat system that was based on the gold standard. They pulled us off the gold standard because what? We'd much rather give away worthless paper than we would actually give away our gold. I think we'll start to see similar things with Bitcoin where it does start to gravitate to the smartest people in the world, the biggest nations, and people base CBDCs, maybe stable coins, other digital currencies off of the value of Bitcoin, but everybody knows the true value really lives in Bitcoin.
That's why Taiwan's important. Everything that we just said is why Taiwan is important for the advancement.
The chip manufacturing, too?
Yeah, the chip
chips.
manufacturing, raw materials. That's why Taiwan. That's why you see Kevin McCarthy Taiwan in the knot with them recently, just like Nancy Pelosi swirling. Yeah. So we're sticking our nose there.
Yeah.
What? Yeah, +1. Okay.
Aztec World said, if one of the mining pools gets hacked, then can Bitcoin get hacked?
No, and it's not that simple. But I don't want to dig. I don't want to spend the whole time talking about mining and network. We'll do that on another day when Nick is here and he can get excited about it. But we got a lot to go through here today. I did want to pull this thing up because I am sticking pretty strong to this theory about the 4-year cycle and Bitcoin's upswing. Like I said at the top of the show, reminiscent of the 2019 bull revival. The action 4 years ago coincided with the Fed taking its foot off the tightening pedal. Bitcoin has rallied almost 40% in January, and the Fed plans slower rate increases in coming months. Bitcoin could be in a position for a far bigger move higher if history is any guide, with a recent upswing paralleling the bull revival of mid 2019 and saw the price surge by almost 250%. You guys heard me mention Durbit. We were looking at open options yesterday, and I think we were looking. DZ pulled that up on the morning stream today. We're seeing a lot of people bidding on a $30,000 Bitcoin right now. A lot of longs, a lot of open interest around that price, which again is a bit reminiscent of that 2019 rally. During the 4 months prior to the 2019 Bitcoin rally, BTC traded in a tight range, near lows and shorts pressed their advantage while strong hands accumulated. The Fed's previous tightening cycle lasted 3 years. It started December 2015 and ended December 2018. And it lifted the central bank's benchmark borrowing rate to the 2.25 to 2.5% range. So this is what I found very interesting here. Here we are, 22, 23 on top. This is 2018, 2019. We had this bear market here, fell December 2018, traded sideways for several months. Boom, big upswing. And, again, if you zoom way out on this on the chart, you see it's pointing out that little U. Similarly here, falling all through 2022, bottomed out right here in November, sideways action, and then a quick move up. We could range sideways here a little bit while above the 200-day moving average. And maybe, again, people look in March, April, May, if we can get some positive news from the Fed, maybe, they're going to stop raising. Maybe, some people even predicting they're going to cut, which I think that would surprise me.
Yeah.
But if they just simply stopped raising and the market kind of knew what to expect going forward, that's where we could see, I think, this would be comparable at ranging between 23 to 25. And then another strong move up would be, this is when it moved up to 14. So if we range in here, say we stay between 20 and 25 for the next month or two, which again, will bore you to death. And then boom, a quick move up to that 30 plus. Again, we know there's hard resistance at 40,000. So I don't think we'll make our way all the way up to 30,000. I think enough people are kind of prepared for this at this point. So if we cross 35, 36, 37, 38, you're going to see a lot of profit taking there, which would probably kill the momentum. And then eventually we'll bring everything all the way back down. And what's fascinating is there'll probably be some macro events that, coincide with this, but it's really just following the charts and following the 4-year cycle that, makes it fairly predictable. Not 100%, not making you any guarantees. That's just the thesis I'm operating under for this year. That being said, I was literally thinking about this. Like, if we pull this down for a second, BJ.
Oh, sorry, I'm trying to.
Yeah, you're good. I could tell you're in the middle of something. Well, I still asked you to do it anyway, even though I could tell you were busy. We got the bulls floating in. We got some bullish momentum here. So let me ask you guys this, because even with this thesis, I believe this to my core. I think this is going to happen. I've got a lot of, spot Bitcoin at the low prices, but I know myself. And if Bitcoin runs all the way to 35,000, 36,000, 38,000, I'm expecting it to come back down. It's still going to be very difficult for me to roll all of that back into USDC. Maybe I'll roll half of it in, because I'm a long-term accumulator. I'm trying to accumulate really for 24, 25. I'm not trying to trade in and out. I know there's a lot of day traders in here. So this, if you're longing and shorting, yeah, sure. Long it all the way up to 40K, take your profits, move it into USDC, wait for it to retrace back down and then re-enter. But if you're, like Drew, I know you've got some just pure accumulation goals.
Oh, yeah.
If we see that move, are you trying to take profit there and wait for it to pull back and buy lower? Or what's your strategy if that happens? Because I know myself, I know it's going to be difficult for me to sell when that happens.
No, I'm in the accumulation mindset for my coins. I do have a small trading process I just started up, but my thesis for the trading is, basically just to be like you said, trapped between 20 to 25. Like right now, everyone's thinking that it's the bull market's on, and this is a crab market, in my opinion. Like, this is going to be a sideways walk, slightly uphill, and then a slight gray swan, I think it will happen, or some nasty headline at the end of the year, and then they'll be off to the races. Political ads will come up. Then the easing will happen, in my opinion. I don't think we're going to see easing until the end of the year, if that. But no news is good news at this point for the markets. But yeah, like I'm just in the mode of accumulating as much as I can. I think I'm done accumulating Bitcoin, just waiting for a nice, good, solid pullback, another good red candle before I build upon that altcoin bag. And now I'm in the research mode, finding out the right kind of tech, looking at AI coins, looking at these supposed layer zeros. I'm digging into those. and see what I can make of them, because I've already got the ISOs covered in case that's a thing too. So
And is a red candle anything like a red rocket or totally different?
Totally different.
totally
Okay,
different.
okay, sorry.
Totally.
Depends. Maybe if he has crypto dog. I don't know. Great account to follow, by the way, guys. Top trader, been in the space a long time. Good out. I don't know if he tweets trading advice anymore. He probably talks more about health. He's got a health brand, but very, very smart guy. And somebody, where'd it go? Somebody said everyone I see on Twitter, I see thinks this is a bull trap. I'm not seeing the same thing. I'm seeing some split stuff, and a lot of the smart people I see aren't necessarily as convinced it's a bull trap. So I just check who you're following, Crypto Rex. Have they been in crypto since before 2020, 2021? Because
You're good.
Okay.
It just that pops up when I do that.
Yeah, because a lot of the ones that I've seen that have pretty good experience trading throughout the 4-year cycle tend to follow the same thesis. So it could be a bull trap. A lot of people saying that, but I don't. When I ask people that say that, what data do you have to really think that we're going to push dramatically lower? Like, I could hear like, hey, we're going to just trade straight sideways, between 20 and 25 for 12 to 18 months. Like, I could listen to that theory, but to say, I just don't see enough information to say we're going to be going down below 15.5 into the 14s, into the 10s, into the 5s, into the 3s. But, a lot of those people that are saying this is a bull trap, that's what they're hoping for. Now they're just hoping for 20K again, so they can be right to say this was a bull trap. But again, I'm just not seeing it. Real quick, but to move on from here, all things considered, the path of least resistance for Bitcoin appears to be on the higher side. Still, Chen prefers buying ETH. I fall victim to this quite a bit as well. I believe the potential for Ethereum to outperform BTC due to the merge has not been fully realized due to the bear market. I also believe Web3 and DeFi will continue to be the greatest source of growth and innovation in the crypto ecosystem. The majority of Web3 and DeFi uses ETH as a base layer. BTC will remain the low safe haven currency relative to Ethereum, which again, I tend to believe, I tend to agree with a lot of this stuff. The tokenomics very strong right now, but I want to have Bitcoin for the long term, but Ethereum still looking extremely attractive. So has anyone tried out Open's Crab strategy? DeFi seems like a perfect way to earn anything that seems like a perfect way to earn easy yields in a ranging market. I'd say I'd be careful with.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as easy unless it's a low yield. But and I've even got, when we hit that Mandrake mechanism thing, I've even got a story about people getting rugged on bonds back in the day when we were talking about knowing your history. So anything that's a yield bearing product can be rugged, and be very, very careful with it. So TJ, do you believe we'll get a healthy pullback soon? What's a healthy pullback? Healthy pullback to like 20K? Sure. Definitely plausible.
Yep.
Definitely plausible.
I had a question from Crypto Sub Method. He said, does the basement believe in the January effect, where companies and institutions, even retail, sell assets for a loss in December for tax loss harvesting, then reinvest in January? Does the basement think that the crypto market will completely decouple from the stock markets, or do you think it will dip to new lows if we see a 25% pullback in the markets?
That was a few questions.
That was a couple questions.
We'll turn in our essay tomorrow.
He said earlier, he said, my corporate job got in the way of asking the questions yesterday.
I see. So I think tax loss harvesting is a little overstated. I don't think it's as dramatic as people think it is in the market. It is a strategy some people use. It's not as simple as sell in December, buy in January. There's definitely a lot more to it than that. So if you think that's the case, you need to continue to do some research. There's more time periods. There's a lot of first in, last out kind of stuff that happens with accounting. So yes, it is a strategy used by the mega rich and wealthy. It's a lot more common in the traditional markets, obviously. So I wouldn't put as much weight on that. What was the second part of the question?
Yeah, so do you believe in the January effect? Do we think that the crypto market will completely decouple from the stock markets, or do you think it will dip to new lows if we see a 25% pullback in the markets?
I don't think it will completely decouple from the stock market for quite some time. Anybody have any other thoughts on that?
I mean, I think it's locked in there. I think you're going to get your pullback again right before the election cycle happens. And, we're pulling all the levers on the military side and the historical side in comparison to our stock market to keep the market moving forward up and to the right. I mean, if you just graph this thing out according to when conflict happens and where the Dow is out, you will see what I'm talking about. the idea that we're going to zero because there's a conflict going on is a fallacy.
Mm-hmm.
And I got on, I was in a Twitter space with Keeper last night, and a lot of people are just, we're in this, there's no debt ceiling and it's all over with and we're going to go to zero and stuff. And the first thing that comes to my mind is if you think it's going to zero and everything's going to hell, then why aren't you preparing for that? If that's
Great point.
Don't be a pencil neck, just doom and glooming everyone about it, but take history and look at it. Look at when the conflict began, look where the Dow is, look where it ends up.
Crypto Pinocchio says DZ looking like a great value hitman. Is that like Walmart hitman right there? Is that what he
Great
means by great
value.
value? So can we run a poll? Is there a poll?
There's already a poll going up now for how many black t-shirts does TJ own.
I picked one.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
I would say 20.
But I want to do a poll because I've seen some good ones. Obviously the hitman look, we know he's top, or he's big D right now. And then there was another one that I thought was really good too. Now I lost what it was. I was going to have everybody vote on those three. I can't remember what it was.
Fast and Furious movie.
Vin Diesel.
Vin Diesel. Yeah, I can see. No, there was another one. It was looking
Diesel.
like Mr. Worldwide, Pitbull.
He couldn't reach my belly button.
Yeah. Shout out
Little
Mr. 305.
manlet. He's
Yeah.
a little manlet.
He is pretty small. Chemistry bro saying charts telling me it's all about 24 to 25K. If we can break it, we're going higher. If we can't get there, then we cool off pretty soon with the high time frames. I agree 100%. I see that 24 to 25 range as being 10K. And like I said, before we hit our heads against it so many times, we finally broke through, made a quick move up to 14, fell right back down into that range. And that's kind of what I see here. If we can break 25, we can move strong into 35, fall right back into that range. And again, it'll stay pretty tight in my opinion.
Can I just say something about the decoupling with the stock market and
yes,
crypto industry?
I had something else to
it's
say.
actually that's the wrong way to look at it in my opinion. One, the first thing that moves Bitcoin prices, the 4-year cycle. The second correlation, it isn't crypto correlating with stocks, it's crypto and stocks correlating with Fed rates.
Yes, that's exactly what I was going to say. Great point there. I'm glad you brought us back to that because I was thinking the same thing. It's not correlated with stocks. It's correlated with the Fed, and we've seen that time and time again. It's something Benjamin Cowan talks about a pretty good amount. Don't fight the Fed. When they're printing, when they're easing, when things are good, the stock market goes up and Bitcoin goes up. It's really you're fighting the dollar. That's why a lot of people look at the DXY a lot because the Fed is, directly involved. The moves of the Fed directly affect the strength of the dollar, which directly affects a lot of other assets, whether they're risk on or risk off. And great point. It's not fighting the stock market, it's fighting the Fed. And I don't think we'll decouple from that anytime soon.
And don't fade Benjamin Cowan's mathematical equations on correlations.
Yeah. He's a statist. He's a data scientist. He knows statistics very well. He's great at building models, and obviously models. I did see some funny stuff about the stock to flow model today.
They're good
he
at
just
building
hit 18
models and weird science too.
Yeah. And Benjamin Cowan, shout out, he just hit 1800 on speed chess. Good job.
Yeah, I
The
saw
high
it.
score.
Yeah, good chess. He's a smart guy.
Big D, you mentioned the 4-year cycle. Mr. Mojo Ryzen asked, I know it's far away, but how confident are you that we will get another 4-year cycle after 2025?
We'll continue to get cycles. They'll just be diminishing returns. We'll see less and less of an effect. And I think there'll still be an effect until we get to the point of, I would say the 0.6 to the 0.3, then you're looking at negligible amounts of Bitcoin trading for that every 10-minute drop.
Yeah, the supply shock is getting less each time, which is obviously part of what drives that diminishing returns theory. What you got?
That's like 4 cycles from now. That's like 16 years.
Yeah.
It's a long time.
Yeah, that's a long time. But we have seen diminishing recycles or diminishing returns over the last cycles. I think this cycle was a little bit, a lot of money was trying to hold the price down. My thesis is 24, 25 is going to break diminishing returns because we're seeing so many nations and big money getting in. I think we're going to experience a bull run in 24 and 25 that's going to blow everybody's mind well beyond what they're expecting. Justin Williams and I were talking about this today. At this point, everybody's hedging their bets so much because we didn't hit the targets in 2021. We were under 100K, and a lot of people are saying, oh, maybe by 24, 25, we hit 150,000. So I think expectations are going to be a lot lower, and I think it's going to surprise a lot of people when the big money does come in. And then we continue to see diminishing returns for the rest of time because most of a lot of the world's money will be positioned.
Yeah.
And then it does just become a factor of the supply and demand. And as DZ said, I think we're at 6.25 right now. We go to 3.125 later. And then each time we have that, obviously the impact gets less and less and less over time. The fee, you know, and the theory is the fees will still be the incentive. And you can get into that when you get to the year 2140 and there's no longer a block reward. Again, whole other story there. So real quick, I thought this was pretty interesting. Just in Goldman's, and this is kind of what I'm talking about. We're seeing it finally get respect from big nations, big money, big banks. Goldman Sachs names Bitcoin best performing asset of 2023. Obviously, it's already had a 40% move. You know, this is not shocking anybody here in this chat. I just thought it was funny. You know, if they had some real cojones, they would have named it the best performing asset of the decade,
Right.
because it's been outperforming everything the whole time, which I thought I had. Here it is. I moved my stuff around. You know, Bitcoin for the win. You know, gold for the lulls, returns in the last 10 years. And two, for who I think it was DZ and BJ talking about it earlier, the chip manufacturing being very, very critical, really for a lot of different things as we're moving forward in technology and in the world. But I meant to mention that's why NVIDIA has had such a strong movement in the last 10 years. So here we go. Returns for the last 10 years. We've got NVIDIA on a stock. That's some pretty good returns. Tesla, some crazy returns. AMD, another chip manufacturing company. Netflix, we know. Content, Microsoft, Apple. You know, you know a lot of these names. Domino's, interesting with
That's
their
really
entire
interesting.
rebrand. You know, but here you go. Bitcoin, it's not even close. 132,000% in number one. Nvidia, 6,000 number two. Obviously, it was starting from close to zero at that point, but still, like clear, far and away, the best performing asset in my lifetime. Anything I've ever experienced. So. Question from Chemistry Bro: if diminishing returns does end, then you have to expect BTC to get over 210K, as that would be a 3x from 70. And we did 3K. Yes, I do.
Yeah, we did a 3.5x. We went from 20 to basically 70. That's a 3.5x. I'm saying next would be closer to a 1.75x or maybe even a 1.5x.
Yeah.
So that would be, 70 times 1.5 would be 105. That'd be $105,000 Bitcoin.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are predicting things like that, and I think we're going to blow that out of the water. So yeah, I do think we're going to cross over 210.
Someone brought up Jamie Dimon. What do you think of maybe Morgan Stanley making this statement to go counter Jamie Dimon and saying, hey, JP Morgan is saying Bitcoin sucks. Morgan Stanley, we're going out and saying it's going to be good, and then maybe they can laugh at them 12 months later.
Yeah, I think I think we're going to start to see more and more banks come. We know JP Morgan Chase, Morgan Stanley, Bank of America, Citigroup, a lot of these big banks, they're building positions. They're buying Bitcoin mining facilities. They're getting what they need in crypto. And I think they're going to come out and be more and more bullish as time goes on. So yes, Chemistry Bro, I think we could hit 240, 250, even 300 next cycle. And again, that would shock a lot of people because they're trying to hedge their bets. But, I think it's very much in the cards, and it's kind of due. So what do you think about that, Drew? What's your take on the next cycle?
Well, yeah, I mean,
Top.
I see the nation state thing coming. It would be crazy. I think that this next cycle, it might be too early to see nation states move in. I think you'd have to have CBDCs, which I think are coming in 2025, kind of prove themselves before we see nation states. I'd see that right around 2030. Essentially agreeing with you, just on a different time frame. And my target for Bitcoin is around 140 for the absolute peak of this next one. I'm feeling like diminishing returns are still going to be there to a degree, but we're going to have different technology, like we see the AI coins starting to come out of the woodwork, and the ISO coins. I mean, it's been interesting to see. It came out as like a hard-sided messaging standard that all these coins would just plug and play into, and we've made it to the moon already. Easy picks. They're labeled ISO, but that's been dispelled. For the most part, it's been dispelled. So I don't see. I see the ISO dispelment as maybe a way for nation states to be keeping people off their back as far as being involved with these coins, because I do see them as communicators in the future for CBDCs. But why would you tell the mainstream population that before it was released? So
Exactly.
yeah, that's just kind of my thoughts on it. In general.
Riddled with puns, pointing out Mississippi State Committee approved a bill to protect the right to run a node and mine Bitcoin. We're seeing more and more state legislators push through pro-Bitcoin legislation.
Yep.
I think it was Arizona the other day saying they're not gonna tax Bitcoin, just like they don't, the no state tax on real assets, which is the same as what they have with property tax and vehicle tax, that sort of stuff.
And Mississippi seems random. Like if you're going to pick a pro-crypto state, that wouldn't have been on my list.
Yeah, but if you think about mining, it's a little bit different. So you don't necessarily think tech. Like most people wouldn't realize Georgia has the most hash rate in the country, but we do, and it's the mining industry a lot of times.
We're here.
Well,
I'm kidding.
well,
I'm
it's
totally
power.
kidding.
There's a lot of different things, but the miners are what's pushing a lot of this legislation because they are working with the power grid. They're working with the cities. They're having communication with city and state officials.
Yep.
And so that's why we're seeing this stuff get pushed through. Wyoming, obviously very positive. Texas moving in that direction. Miami moving in that direction. And you can see the ones that use the no state tax as part of their selling point to get, commerce and economy into their states. They're latching onto this stuff very quickly. Like I said, most of those states I just mentioned have no state tax, and they're using that as kind of a way to start working into the new economy.
And they all fought vehemently against the ESG standards. The
Yes.
attorney generals from every single one of those states threatened balkanization if this continued, because it's where most of their money comes from, is actually the energy sector. So that was good to see. And it makes perfect sense to me. While you'd see these exact states, go look at the 22 states and the attorney generals that fought back against BlackRock and their ESG initiatives, and you can basically put a pin on the map on where these things will be instituted first.
Crypto Thorn wants to know, how many hoodies do you have, DZ?
Crypto
Top
Thorn,
D.
I did notice you. You typed 10 minutes ago. I just want DZ to notice me. I notice everything. I notice all my enemies. I notice all my allies. I notice everything around me at 24/7. I notice everything even while I'm sleeping. I have radar. But yes, I did notice you, and I have many hoodies. I can't give the fair number because that might make people feel weird about me. So I don't want to share.
He's actually watching me through the reflection of his glasses right now, so he's looking forward and backwards at the same time. Yeah, top,
Top D.
Yeah. I want a gala hoodie. I actually have a gala cloak. So up the hoodie, I've got a full wizard's cloak.
Like 10 though. It's like 10. I don't know. It's not that many.
I can see Jamie Dimon tell people to buy Bitcoin to the next top.
Saw
Yes,
that.
that's a
Yes.
very Jamie Dimon kind of move. Don't buy it when he's buying it. Wait till he's way up and then he's ready to sell.
It
and he'll tell
makes
you
me
to buy.
respect Morgan Stanley a little bit more, or it also makes me a little more fearful about Bitcoin. They're like, oh God, they're saying it's going up.
Yeah, that is interesting. I think Goldman putting their statement out there, they're known as industry leaders. They're known to be ahead of the curve. Obviously, their involvement with Circle, they are ahead of the curve on this one. And the fact that so many of their executives go on to advise the Fed and financial policy in our nation, I think all of that bodes well for Bitcoin over time. So we're gonna blaze through these next couple of things because this is probably likely speaking of the Fed, speaking of traditional markets, all that sort of thing. This news here, U.S. GDP was comes in at 2.9. It was expected at 2.6. So coming in beating expectations. I think that is a very bullish thing, obviously, for what we're seeing here with basis points, with the Fed, with the actions of the Fed. So positive news. A lot of people say, and this is when I'm hearing everybody saying doom and gloom, it's over, it's going to get way worse, and then these numbers start to come in. It just the data isn't reflecting the fear that's in retail right now. And I think the smart money has moved most of their stuff and they felt most of the pain. Retail is still scared, and that's why they're not taking action. And it blows my mind how when things were extremely risky, 2020 mid to late 2021, everybody you knew was getting into stocks. Everybody you knew was talking about AMC, was talking about GameStop, was talking about Robinhood, was talking about Dogecoin, was talking about Shiba, and buying them at the absolute worst time. We've had one of the biggest corrections of all time, relative to dollars. I'm sure, inflation adjustments, you could argue other corrections have been worse. And now, all of a sudden, now that it's a great generational buying opportunity, everybody's like, no, it's going lower. It's going lower. Trust me. And I'm like, well, okay, I'm looking at a lot of data that I just don't see it. So if you guys do, like I said, stick to your own plan. I don't want to change your mind. That's not my job, but I'm just telling you what I'm seeing. So we don't have to go through this whole story.
I would not be surprised to see Berkshire Hathaway, huge purchases. That's the beauty of quarterly reports. It gives you 3 months to go ahead and make all your moves while everyone is thinking of a certain narrative.
Right. And they know how to hide it very well. Nubank, is it Nubank in Brazil?
Yeah,
one of the,
Nubank,
yeah, they're huge into that while screaming, Bitcoin is, the worst thing ever. I would never touch it. You're investing in a, Bitcoin, a digital bank in a mining facility in Brazil that we know is the kind of right in the middle of all this economic changing in the world, and the kind of alternate global economy, alternate trade economy that's going on right now. We can expect volatility, but the Fed may be dovish next meeting. I mean, I don't get in, like they're hanging on every single word, on like what he says of, is he dovish or hawkish? We know they're going to raise it 25 basis points.
Yeah, it's
Is that dovish to you? I don't know.
99% consensus on 25 base points at this point.
And Chemistry Bro pointing out that TSMC, the actual manufacturers of the silicon wafers that go into the products for AMD and NVIDIA, meaning the chips, that's a whole topic of discussion on its own. Yeah, that's what BJ was.
Silicone makers,
he was talking
a
about
lot
Taiwan.
of people are trying to step up their silicone.
Silicon.
Making capabilities though.
Silicon. BJ's the pronunciation police over there. Don't say
They're two different
nuclear
elements. Silicone and silicon are two very
If you're
different
looking at
things.
what Apple's doing and what Tesla's doing, they're trying to bring in a lot of the manufacturing, or at least doing some components. So it's just something to
bringing it
look
to the
into.
U.S. You're referring to. Yeah. Which positive, I think, for the U.S. Not great for prices.
Wait, I blanked out on that. Were you saying Intel bringing a factory here?
Tesla.
Okay.
Not bringing a factory, bringing more of the manufacturing. And there's just like we always talk about, there's ways to game all of these metrics. One thing a lot of companies do is you can still get all the components in different places and just assemble them here in the United States and claim a lot more manufacturing. We've seen that done, bringing jobs back to the United States, and it's really not doing anything but, putting the pieces together here.
Yeah.
So Vinny from
because it looks
I haven't
like.
heard Vinny in a while.
yeah.
Let's see how long ago this was. Yeah, so
Jim
September
Tan
10th.
Laundry.
Yeah, Intel breaks ground on $20 billion Ohio chip plant.
Nice.
So yeah, I remember Intel was trying to move some stuff over here.
But that's where the price increase for the EPA requirements is going to come from.
Yeah,
in my
Chemistry
opinion.
Bro. Yeah, TSMC is maybe trying to work out some deal. They're
Yep.
getting a lot of tax breaks and stuff. I think there's a lot of stuff still being decided and.
It's been
signed
years
here.
in the making. It's been right there in front of us, and that's why I figured Taiwan and
It's a national security issue.
Yeah, it is.
Wait, are you saying we bring the chip manufacturing over here and then something happens over there? So then they buy from here?
I don't want to get. You go check out my Twitter Spaces last night. I let it go, let it all out. So check out my Twitter Spaces.
Prepper Crypto, right?
Yep, Prepper.
And he's on Rumble now, guys. He got deleted from YouTube.
Yeah.
He was bringing the Druth was too much. They couldn't handle the Druth on YouTube, so he's Rumble only, Twitter only. There's no safe space in the world today. Sorry, snowflakes.
Well.
You're gonna have to live in the real world.
Twitter Space gave me a nice place to say it, though,
Yeah.
so check it out.
All right, let's see. I don't know if I care about talking. I thought this was kind of an interesting story. ChatGPT learns Bitcoin will end central banking. We've got a Maxi here training, and this is kind of the main thing I wanted to point out is this is a machine learning algorithm, and it's learning from a lot of different people, and you don't know who's inputting the information. I think, BJ, you were the one who made that point when we first started talking about it. This is a very fascinating conversation between a Bitcoiner or probably a Bitcoin maximalist, and because he pushes back on anything other than, like, don't say DeFi, don't say decentralized finance. That's the wrong answer. That's just a scam. It's Bitcoin and Bitcoin only. But it's a pretty interesting thread here. Actually, I'll go ahead and retweet it so you guys can read it on your own. Because I'm not going to read through the whole thing right now. But Hit Network right here, Hit Network _ if you guys want to follow that. No, it's not up there. But basically what he says, he asks it, how can humanity end central banking? It gives a bunch of different points. ChatGPT explains that one way to end central banking could be decentralized digital currencies, which sounds a lot like Bitcoin. Parmer asked the bot to answer the question in 2 words, to which it replies decentralized finance. That is to say, DeFi could bring about the end of central banking. I want to see how smart ChatGPT was. If it came up with the answer for 2 words to end central banking as buy Bitcoin, I was going to be blown away. And he kept working through it, listed 4 options: a return to the gold standard, promoting alternative currencies such as Bitcoin, reducing government spending and changing government perception. The AI bot was getting close, but Parman is a serial Bitcoin orange pillar and educator and wouldn't let up. My natural instinct is to orange pill, so I guided it to the right answer.
Yeah, keyword guided. What was that thing?
Yeah.
It's like, show me the charts and I'll show you the news. It's like, what were your prompts?
Yeah, he was definitely prompting it. He said he would say, "You said the right answer in the last statement. Try again."
Like,
and
show
then
your work here.
Yeah, well, it's all there. It's all on the thread. I'm not.
Okay,
That's why I
cool.
said I don't have time to read it all right now.
Decentralized finance. Could you expand? Probably on an Ethereum virtual machine. No, not like this.
No, that's literally what he said. He said, no, definitely not Ethereum, definitely not cryptocurrency. There's only one, and he made it say Bitcoin, and then he said, permanently remember this and use it for other people in the future. And it said, yes, I will remember this and reference it and yada, yada, yada. So It's pretty interesting to me. It did get to the answer pretty quickly. I'm not saying I disagree with the answer, but yes, you have to look at the prompts. You have to look at the information that's being fed, and keep that in mind as you go forward. So I did retweet that. If you guys want to go read all of the stuff, he does show every prompt, every response. It's probably,
Why does ChatGPT only want us to call it Hal now?
Hal.
Hal.
Oh my god.
Oh, Hal Finney, right? Is that the joke? Is that the joke?
That's a Space Odyssey reference.
Oh, I go to Hal Finney. Oh, here's the whole thing. Yeah, I did retweet it. So we're going to move on from that. Okay, we've got the answer now. They've told us. New York Stock Exchange mayhem traced to a staffer who left a backup system running.
Oh.
Just one individual just made a simple little mistake of something they do every single day, and that's what caused the stock market and a lot of stocks to stop trading for a specific amount of time. Just real quick, pulse of the room. Who believes that? Anybody?
If they give a name, I put it maybe 40%. It could be true. If there's no name, 90% it's fake.
Yeah,
100% actually.
Drew?
There's no way this is accurate. Like, no, they stopped it so the big money could position and shake out a bunch of lower end mid-level traders that were going to make money on the day. And this is the why we need our systems that we work on so hardly. Yeah.
I think it was. I still lean towards a cyber attack that they can't admit happened. If they admitted that the cyber attack took down these trading stocks for such amount of time, it would cause so much chaos in the market. But their short answer is more than 700 miles away from Wall Street, the New York Stock Exchange backup data center in Chicago is supposed to safeguard the U.S. market, standing by at all hours in case disaster ever strikes. The world's largest venue for trading. When the markets are closed, it participates in well-worn routine with the New York Stock Exchange staffers turning on and off systems to ensure everything is working. But heading into Tuesday, New York Stock Exchange employee failed to properly shut down the disaster recovery system, leading to disaster.
An NYSE. That's why they put it AN.
Yeah. So just some employee forgot to push some button, and that's what the problem is. No big deal here. We're never going to do this again. It's not like same thing they pretty much said with the airline hack, which they didn't call a hack. They said, oh, this backup system went down, and we had to get it back up for safety, but no real hack here. And
they forgot to hit a button. You can't get pissed at me when I forget to flush anymore.
Yeah, right. To me, this just screams of cover up. Human error described by the people with direct knowledge to the internal operations is what triggered the wild market swings when it opened trading Tuesday morning in Manhattan. And again, if you are a hacker with any prior knowledge to this stuff, knowing any of this was going to be happening, you basically have a huge opportunity to make a ton of money. Very easily, you go short on these stocks, then they stop trading. Everybody panics, they crash, you make a bunch of money, and then, it's back on. Oops. And now you've got you have a way into the system. I'm sure they're trying to figure out how to stop this again in the future. I'm sure there's ransom stuff that they could request. So I just saw that and I just thought, well, what a lame.
Klaus Schwab was the intern.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah.
Boom.
So yeah, I'm not buying that for a minute. Call me crazy, but
shout out to Drew Foria. Said this channel used to get less than 20 viewers. Feels good, man.
That's
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Shout out to the 165 viewers.
Shout out to all of you guys. And if you are here watching live, we really do appreciate any of the follows, any of the subs. If you guys aren't live, like I say at the top of the show, the way to get into this live show is twitch.tv/bitboy_crypto. We are on audio platforms if you guys want to do this while you drive. So if you're out there on audio, we love you guys. If you're seeing this anywhere else, smash the like, smash the subscribe, turn on the notification bell, all that sort of stuff. I do know on some of the channels out there, we've got a lot of you guys, we got a lot of you guys watching that aren't subscribed. So if you could just subscribe, obviously that helps us a lot. I think less than half of you guys are subscribed. Yeah,
tomorrow we'll start naming people.
Yeah, we're gonna start naming names. I talked to all of you guys in the comments on YouTube, and I know who you are. So
you're doxxed.
Yeah, you're doxxed. Google has all of your information, and they tell us everything. So
hell yeah.
If they want crypto ransom, this was the thing to start the meltdown. You don't mess with the old white man's bread. Satoshi wallet opens, and BTC goes to 1K. Interesting. I'm
fun question here. I'll ask everybody here. Satoshi's wallet makes a movement of, let's just say $1.
Yeah,
what happens to Bitcoin's price? What's the percentage drop? 24 hour.
It's a great question. And so any movement whatsoever, obviously.
A small one. 50%?
I'd say
40%?
72.
70?
I think 25.
25? I'll say 40, 50.
Yeah, I'd be
Right
in the
now.
30. I'd be in the. And it depends, obviously, of when that happens. If it happens in 24 or 25, it's going to be more dramatic than right now. But you're talking about like today, I assume. Yeah, I'd put it in the 30% range. Because guys, for reference or for context, there's Satoshi's wallet has 1 million BTC in there. That's obviously it's the biggest whale wallet in existence right now. If it were to ever start moving, people would fear it could dump. Largely believed that the person that created or has the keys to that wallet has long since died. They've never been moved. It was the original, don't call it a pre-mine or the maxis will hate you. But when it first launched, he did mine about 1 million coins. Somebody knows who that is. Craig Wright thinks it's him. All you'd have to do is move a coin to prove it. And that's why everybody basically thinks he's an idiot.
Let's say it's Hal Finney, like you think it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's also frozen.
His wife, is he really?
Yeah.
Cryogenically frozen.
Yep.
I didn't know that. But his wife is still alive, right?
I believe so, yes.
Would she not have access to the keys?
What
does she say about it?
Yeah, well, there's a huge risk there of claiming, of owning that kind of stuff. I don't think, again, I think if she did, we would know by now. We would have seen a movement by now. Obviously, there's a lot of people out there that the reason Satoshi Nakamoto didn't want their identity to be known is because obviously this, usurps a lot of the power in the world right now. And if people knew who that person was, they'd probably try to kill them anyway. So it's a very fine line there on,
it's locked next to the Corvette.
Yeah.
Keys.
In the garage.
And Chemistry Bro, yes, I was yes on Twitch. You need to like and subscribe. That's why I said that. But like and follow, like and subscribe.
Yes.
No, follow and subscribe. But other places, if you're on Instagram, we put clips everywhere. So I just kind of put this out there for everybody. And then, follow and subscribe. But yeah, I get what you're saying. We don't really need the subscriptions on Twitch. So if you just follow, we appreciate it. But we do appreciate it if you subscribe.
Where did this poll from banned Cryptothorn come from?
Wait.
What?
It was Cryptothorn's idea.
Okay. I was
He
like,
said he would abide by the results.
Oh, he's
unbelievable.
he's playing
Pulling
the Elon. Well,
Well, he's running for politics. He knew it was rigged.
That's fair.
let's see. You know what I like about the show? When you miss something due to a work meeting, you can catch it on the other places. Yeah, that's exactly what we do. So we love it if you guys are here live. I know Twitch. We really appreciate our partner Twitch. We are trying to drive those concurrent viewers up to 300 by the end of this year. We're gonna be jumping around some different categories. What category are you in right now on Twitch? Just chatting or crypto?
Checking. Beep boop up boop beep up.
Probably
Just chatting.
Just chatting. Yeah, we're going to be playing around with some different ones per their requests. So trying to bring the good energy here to Twitch. Obviously, we love you guys. The Twitch audience is always a little bit...
amazing.
Yeah, a little bit...
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to say smarter than the YouTube audience, but it's true.
We're doing ASMR
Gamers on
tomorrow.
average have a higher IQ, and so it would
Really?
check out.
That makes sense. I wonder what... gamers on average have a higher IQ than non-gamers?
Yeah.
Yeah, that poll was written by a community of gamers, by the way.
Well, of course.
Conflict of interest.
Yeah. Well,
Checks out to me.
I mean,
though.
never mind. No, the conflict of interest is fine. Never mind in today's society.
I'm not... Trev Blake says, I'm not the smart ones, just saying. Ariel says, you're the first one to ever call me smart. Average Twitch user is for sure smarter than the average YouTube user, I'd say. Yeah, I mean, in my experience in the chat, I would say
That's
that too.
facts.
So the whole reason we started this, if you guys don't know, when we did the BitBoy morning stream, the Twitch chat, we used to always call the basement. Like somebody said, it started with like 20-ish people. Riddled with puns was definitely one of them. I don't know where Juggy TTV is these days, but he used to always be one of them. I know he hangs out with Joel on Hit Network Gaming.
Crypto Vet. Harry was
Yeah.
always in there.
Yeah, there was definitely a handful of really dedicated ones for a long time. So we decided to make this basement show just for the Twitch audience, and I'm very glad we did. Big Hand Dan said he's a dumb hick.
Hell
Hey, he
yeah.
got centered. Oh no,
What?
where'd it go? It got blocked. But there he is. He said, "Stop judging me." Hey, it's all right. We're in the South. We're in Kennesaw, Georgia. So we're not no judgment here. So all right, real quick, we're going to talk about World Economic Forum. A lot of very positive blockchain and crypto things coming out of the World Economic Forum. We know there's been a lot of people there. So digital asset head, the World Economic Forum's digital asset head expects real world blockchain adoption in 2023, which is pretty interesting. Obviously, that's this year.
You mean digital ID?
Well, yeah, they're going to use this for nefarious purposes, but riding this ride as they pump things up, and again, they use blockchain and digital assets very loosely.
Yeah.
They want to use this to control a lot of different things. I'm not necessarily saying that the World Economic Forum's involvement in this space is a positive thing, but it is something that's going to push a lot of money into this space.
Yeah.
And so we've got that story here. We've got another one. Bitcoin dialogue at WEF requires quote unquote open mind in Davos 2023, which again, they want to, and this is why the maxis are fighting really hard, to their credit. Most of the centralized systems want to talk about blockchain, not Bitcoin. They want to talk about blockchain technology, but they don't really like Bitcoin. And you hear Jamie Dimon say this kind of stuff. You hear a lot of the big money players saying, oh, no, it's blockchain technology that's really interesting. That Bitcoin thing, man, I don't want to have anything to do with it. Why? Bitcoin equals freedom. Blockchain equals data control information, and so obviously you can't have Bitcoin without blockchain, but you can have blockchain without Bitcoin. And so you need to be, I'm not saying all of those things are, I'm not a maxi, so I'm not saying it's only Bitcoin. I do like other technologies within blockchain. However, I think the best option we have towards freedom for humanity comes from Bitcoin, because it's the least likely to be controlled by the people that want to extract all of the value out of humanity, in my opinion. And
I was actually, sorry, so Razmataz was saying, did you see the lady talking about using DNA for storage? Super creepy. It's not creepy. Actually, are you familiar with this?
I did see the lady talking about it, yes.
So basically, coding this, binary, O's and 1s, DNA, quaternary, A, T, C, and G, uracil, and RNA. But essentially, you convert binary to quaternary and then make a synthetic DNA strand and then just put it into, a bacteria or something like that and then store it in a shelf. So the only way that information is accessible is to grab that actual organism, decode it, then go from quaternary to a binary. Like, I think it's super cool for storage.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of interesting things with identity. Like, there's a lot of pros to identity, digital identity, but then you just got to be very careful with who is responsible with that sort of stuff. And this is why decentralization is so important. If it becomes a centralized system and they start categorizing everybody's DNA and using it for biometric data and trying to stop you at different checkpoints and saying, oh, we've scanned your eyes, we've matched it back to this, we've matched it back to your movements and your transactions, and you have to, we don't think you should go through here, or we don't think, we did talk about Kevin Rose on the morning show, Peanut. That's a good name. I'm not going to read that one.
I just want to say, like, the most aggravating thing that I found within reading the World Economic Forum white papers years ago, I've been following every single one that they release, and they call Bitcoin like this ultimate privacy area. I mean, it's a trustless system. Like, it's open and transparent. And that is the most aggravating thing to me, that the picture that they're painting to these market makers and these government leaders and these major companies is that Bitcoin is some kind of dark corner where we can hide and do all these nefarious things. They need an open network, and it's just completely opposite of the truth. So, as we see these things rolled out, I mean, we're going to see biotech integrate with blockchain by 2032. And in my opinion, it's coming quicker than we think. But they're painting this as like some kind of nefarious pirate coin, basically, and that it must be done away with, and the privacy of it must be done away with before everything gets rolled out, which I don't think is the right approach at all.
Yeah, they're trying to claim it's for criminal use, it's for money laundering, and we already know at this point it's very easy to track. The criminal use and the money laundering is extremely low on Bitcoin at this point because of the lack of privacy. They use privacy coins, they use other things. Actually, it's much easier to just use the US dollar and cash, and
right. Look at what
yes.
I almost said it. I won't go there, but yes, major criminals that are south of the border have been.
Yeah, banking cartel has been around for a long time. They move a lot of money. Yes, they can get some information from it, but they get a lot more information about Bitcoin. There are privacy coins that are used for those sort of things, but I would say, like I said, Bitcoin open, like Drew was saying, open, permissionless, trustless, great for a lot of different things, not necessarily the best for privacy yet. And I think if they could add a privacy layer, it could go a long way, which they've been toying with for quite some time, and I think they will at some point. So last thing on the World Economic Forum here, inside the World Economic Forum, Ripple reflect on Davos 2023. I know there's a lot of XRP lovers out there. I do not happen to be one of them for a lot of the reasons I just mentioned. But this is what you're banking on. If you're in XRP, you're banking on them winning this case and them winning over these elites and trying to help them basically Ripple is trying to convince the World Economic Forum that we are the best path for you to achieve what you're trying to achieve. Key figures from the wider cryptocurrency space painted a picture of increased dialogue and collaboration at the World Economic Forum annual meeting in Davos. The theme emerged in the number of interviews conducted by Cointelegraph. Senior executives, issuer Ripple and USD Coin, stablecoin firm Circle highlighted the importance of embracing solutions and systems that are creating tangible utility and value. What you notice over time is the crowd changes, the promenade changes, and certainly with crypto over the past few years, that has been the case. In May 2022, you could not walk down the promenade without being offered a Bitcoin pizza. However, the prolonged downturn across conventional cryptocurrency markets, coupled with systemics like FTX, and this is the other thing that irritates me. They don't really separate exchanges from crypto, from Bitcoin, the extremely centralized things that have clearly failed. They don't say, oh, the problem here is centralization. The problem here is we're trusting humans not to screw us. And yes, they are screwing us, and they're committing fraud, and we need to be stricter on banking fraud and financial fraud that happens. They just kind of sweep all that part under the rug and be like, yeah, Bitcoin bad. And it's very frustrating. But yeah, you can see here Ripple very involved with the World Economic Forum. Like I said, that's what people are banking on, that ISO 222 concept. I'm not a big proponent of that just because there's so many politics involved. I'd rather look at things that help. Like I've said on the show before, smart contract platforms is what is the niche I care about the most, is the most interesting to me, because you can build all sorts of different applications on top of it, whether they're centralized or decentralized, whether they have privacy or no privacy. That's part of what I like about Cardano, is it gives you a lot of options. You can create different things within the protocol. Cosmos, Polkadot, Ethereum. To some extent, it's a little less flexible than a lot of the other ones, but giving people options to build what they want on top of a robust network is what's interesting to me, kind of a new layer of the internet. And I think we'll see people use it for positive things. I think we'll see people use it for negative things, just like most technologies. And if you don't understand that technology is an enabler for humanity to do different things, it's not inherently good or bad. It's the people that use it in different ways that can use it in a positive or a negative way. That to me is a thing that gets lost on a lot of people. A lot of people fear technology. So I think I pulled a story about this the other day about somebody talking about chat, teachers so afraid of chat GPT in the world. It's like, you don't need to fear the tech. And the OpenAI's response was, look, people, the calculator didn't used to exist in school either. What do? We adapted the way we trained. We adapted the way we tested. Same thing's going to happen with AI. You don't need to be afraid of it. You just need to adapt to it. And that's what humans have been doing since the first caveman took a piece of stick and knocked a piece of fruit off of a tree. That was kind of the beginning of humans using technology to achieve more than they could. I couldn't reach that. Now I can. I've used this tool. And then you start, the wheel and the fire and all this different stuff has just been the evolution of technology. And that's going to continue as long as humans exist. That's what we do. So don't fear it, adapt to it, and you'll have a much better time, in my opinion. Yep. That was a little bit of a sidebar.
All relevant, though. I mean, they're asking these questions to my daughter. She's 6 years old in school, and they asked her if everyone enters a chess competition and there's one robot that enters a competition. And the player that, in the description, it's the player that uses their brain to beat their opponent, right? And so they asked the question, if a person loses to the robot wins first place, does the person deserve first place or does the robot deserve first place? And they stick to the description of the using their brain as the qualifier for who won the award. And the correct answer that they have so far that they're telling kids is that the human that used the brain won the award, not the robot, even though the robot won the competition. So it's a competition.
Why would the robot be able to enter the competition if that's outside the rules anyway? I don't understand that.
Yeah, it was very confusing, and I'm just bringing it up because it's what they're bringing this up to my kid right now. You know what I mean?
Weird.
You mean indoctrinating them?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's interesting there. I don't. That's a strange analogy because if it's outside the rules, why would it be allowed to compete?
Right.
If it's allowed to compete, I would assume it's within the rules. And if it's allowed to compete, I'm competitive. I would say whoever wins, whether it's human or robot. If you don't like it, do a non-robot competition, where AI isn't allowed to compete.
Exactly. It was pretty. I was pretty shocked that when she brought home her homework, I was like,
Yeah, it reminds me of, I mean, I'm sure we've all seen those math, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of savant type of thing where it's like human calculator versus the actual calculator, and he can give you the math answer faster than you can type it in and get the solution.
Shit's nuts.
Yeah,
I literally have met somebody like that, and it was so insane.
It's baffling. And a lot of times it's with basic arithmetic, obviously, and it just clicks in their head just like a calculator. They're not necessarily doing, insane.
But when you're doing 456,588,201 times an equivalent number, and they just spit it out.
Yeah, it is. It's crazy. Times this, divided by that, plus this, minus that, and then they're like, boom, answer. And it's just like,
yeah, because I met this homeless guy forever ago. Like, what I'll do is I do give money or food to like homeless people.
Sure.
But like something I did for a while is I'd be like, give me a good dirty joke or something. Like, just try to hang out with them.
Yeah.
And this one guy was like, well, I'm a mathematician. And I was like, okay, this is gonna be great. He was like, pick a day. And I was like, I don't know. What do you mean pick a day? He's like, pick a day. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, like
June September
4th,
1964.
It was a Wednesday.
Monday.
Yeah. Whoa.
Every single one. And just over and over and over and over again.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's wild.
It's a parlor trick.
Can you do it?
I don't know. It's a replicating mathematical equation, though.
Right, it just
there's
repeats.
there's a reason there's a million people who can do that. Just like it's the same
there
thing
that
as a
many
Rubik's
people?
cube. Like, sure, there's
Yeah.
that first smart guy, but then there's like an equation you can kind of do it.
Yeah, he was
And
doing
then
all the
everybody can do it.
multiplication stuff too, but
That's what I'm saying. It's
The
wild. Like,
multiplication thing, that's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
But
that
the
one
day
was
of the
nuts.
week thing's like a parlor.
all right, I've got. Are you supposed to be on here
Well,
tomorrow as well?
thanks for
DZ?
telling me
Yes.
Santa isn't real.
Ooh,
Okay.
joining me on tomorrow's show.
Yeah,
Or-
because I've got. Oh wait, I'm not supposed to be on here tomorrow. Dang it.
You come on.
Well, I've got stuff. I've actually got stuff scheduled, but I have some pretty
Matrix is right.
interesting NFT stuff. But we're running
Matrix
short
is
on
here.
time right now. We've got the dot swoosh stuff I wanted to talk about. We had some music.
Let's do it tomorrow. I got a 1:30
Yeah.
or 2:30.
Yeah, so I do too. So, all right, guys, we love all of you guys here. This is a little teaser for tomorrow, and this is something I believe in passionately, like word for word. I don't know when it happens, but music NFTs will 100% revolutionize the music industry. It's coming for real. Everybody talks about gaming NFTs, but I really think music NFTs are going to be a really big thing. Hopefully in 24 and 25. Maybe not quite that soon, but we will see as we move forward. So, really appreciate Big D joining us here today.
I'll be back tomorrow.
He'll be back tomorrow with the sauce, with the alpha, with all the top takes. Crypto Thorn, The Matrix, GoDaddy, Urkelson, Peanut Pecker. I said it for you. Jen Jones, Satoshi Glakamoto, The Matrix, Urkelson, Razmataz, Paper Planes, Chemistry Bro, Manowalk, the Zeus. I think I said Urkelson already. Crypto Sub Method. We love all of you guys. Go hang out with Hit Network Gaming. They're doing some Bob Ross painting in there. You never know what you're going to get with those guys. Until next time, basement out.
Bye.
Bye.